let's talk pelvic floor and core and how to actually train it and what is the difference between your pelvic floor and your core. So we're gonna start off with a quick anatomy lesson or overview, I guess, if you will, to just run through the basic layers of the abdominal wall muscles. Right, you've got the four main muscles that are important to understand how we train them and how we use them, and the difference between training your abs and your core and also involving your pelvic floor is significant in the sense of a lot of people doing it wrong. So when people come in to train their core, for example, they think they're training their deep core muscles by doing a lot of crunches. They're actually not training their pelvic floor because their crunches are going all the way up on the bench. And I've got some exercises in the next slide that I'll run through of kind of exactly what I mean. Your core muscle, especially to say for taking women that have give birth or even your pelvic floor, they tend to weaken. We tend to, if you use it or you lose it type of thing. And any muscle that we have, so it's important that we train those and the right way. And understanding the anatomy or understanding kind of the musculature of where things are is the first step in going there. It's like in any other exercise in your glute max, your minimus, your maximus, and all these other things, and medius, your shoulder heads, the more you understand the basic principles of anatomy or kind of how many muscles there are and which way they work and turn and twist, you'll be able to understand how to train them more. Now, your core is comprised of these four main muscles, your abdominal wall, and then you've got everything that kind of like involves it and surrounds it, which is important. And then your pelvic floor is your diaphragm and all these other muscles, like I said. So you want to essentially include exercises that kind of run through all of this. Now, there is no one exercise that covers this specific all the areas. Like you can argue that base lifts, the big lifts, the squat, the bench, the deadlift, that they cover your core, because they do. They really do work your core because you have to brace and Valsalva maneuver, which is a big thing where you inhale, you expand your stomach. So think of the oblique walls here and the transverse abdominis. They're essentially being filled of air. They're being stretched and they're being squeezed. So then they're being loaded through tension as you're doing a squat or a deadlift, and they are being trained in an isometric, like a plank, if you will. But you also need to train them through other movements, like a transverse, which is a rotational movement. Internal obliques need to be trained through some sort of maybe single-sided exercises like a farmer's walk and so on. So this boils down to the setup. And in order for you to train it correctly, you have to also set yourself up correctly. And what I mean by that is, if we move on to the next slide here, which talks about tucking in your pelvis, which is not the highest quality of image, but it will do for now. Your yoga sequence builder. In yoga, they do a lot of this. In yoga, you'll go to yoga and they'll talk about breathing correctly, breathing into your belly button, breathing into your anus, they'll say sometimes, or other phrases, I'm not sure. But we have to look into this. So if we look at the spinal position here, and what most people do is when they breathe, and you can do this test right now as you're watching, is just put your hand on your chest and inhale. And you will notice that you'll actively go, you'll breathe shallow. You'll breathe into your lungs and your chest will rise. And when we lift and when we coach training, when we coach lifting, coach bracing, we say put your arm on your stomach and breathe outwards. So the chest doesn't go, but the chest goes, the stomach, sorry, goes. And you're breathing into your diaphragm. You're breathing into your pelvic floor. You're now actively engaging your core. You have to think about it. You have to rewire your brain about this. And the best way and the best test to do this is this. It's on the floor. You lay down and you see if you can put an arm underneath your lower back. And if you can put your arm underneath your lower back, what you want to do is you want to push your chest down and take your pelvis up a little bit. So then you've got no space underneath the lower back, and then breathe into your tummy, right? So even the image illustrates kind of the hand is on the chest, stomach area here. It's pushing the stomach down and you're breathing into the floor. So you're not breathing by moving the ribs up. This is how you want to breathe when you lift. This is how you breathe into your pelvic floor, into your core, into your diaphragm. This is what's going to change your lower back from hurting to actually not hurting anymore, from you pulling your back because you fell on the ice to not pulling your back. All those small things, and it will make a big difference to your lift. You know, the guys and the girls that brag that they've never trained abs in their life and they've got amazing abs or core muscles. It's most likely because they've been lifting heavier weights or heavy weights and they've been breathing this way through their stomach into their core. So that's an important part of it. Now, in terms of exercises and things that I would recommend and maybe not recommend, let's have a look. See, I'm zoomed in here quite a lot actually. Wow. We can do this. Sure, that works for now. So things you want to try to generally avoid maybe too much of is this. You want to avoid these type of crunches, because the crunch motion of going all the way up, you lose your abs working past a certain range of motion, and your hip flexors, your quads, the front muscles, and the leg actually take over. What you want to do is movements like this instead. You actually want to do crunches like this. So you see how she's got her back flat, spinal neutral, and she's only crunching from the top. So she's got a spinal flexion, so she'll go all the way down to the floor, and she'll go all the way up. So the core, the lower back, the butt is actually staying on the bench. Whilst in this case, you'll get the abs working up to maybe, let's have a look. See, your abs might work up to here, and then in this range here is no longer abs, right? So this is your load. So you don't, and which is what she's doing here. She's doing this small range of motion. She's not going past where you don't need to, because you're involving hip flexors and other muscles. The tension will be higher, it'll be more intense, you'll get a way better mind to muscle connection with your abdominal exercises. Other ways to train is also side and isometrics. Side planks are a great exercise for that, because like we look at it and the anatomy of the exercises. Not only do you need to flex your spine to work your rectus abdominis and your external obliques, you also need to work your transverse abdominis and your internal obliques, which are worked through the side motion, and they work through side crunches or side holds, isometrics like planks, weighted crunches, Bosu ball crunches, anything that supports your back, your butt, your spine, and lets you flex your spine without your hips moving is a good exercise. And then you do it and you get good at it and you progress it. You don't need to complicate it. You don't need to switch up ab exercises all the time. You don't need to try something new every month. You just do the next 2 to 3 exercises actually, and you just do them for a long time, and you get really good at them, and you'll make progression. You'll make progression. You'll get stronger, and your core will get more defined. You'll get more contact with it. I'm not going to get too much into pre and postnatal, because that's related more to pelvic floor, and I'm not qualified in that field necessarily, but I assume from what I read, and I know that a lot of this translates to a lot of similar stuff. It's just the level and degree of progression is different, if that's relevant to you. Anyways, I hope you found this useful, and yeah, that's the episode for today.